Whew. That was quite a trip. This cart is gonna live in the garden. You see, I figured this cart's gonna be the easiest way to harvest these potatoes. I need to put this together. We had some issues with pests this year. I've got some thinking to do over the winter about what I want this to look like next year. And the last thing I want to do today is do some fall planting. Welcome back to the Lazy A-Hole Ranch, everyone. My name is Allie, and you've got it. We're talking about the potato harvest and checking in on the potatoes that I planted late in the summer to grow indoors. This cart went together rather quickly, and I'm looking forward to really putting it through its paces next year. Let's go ahead and start harvesting potatoes. My thought was I would just pick up the containers and dump them right into this cart. That way I can sort through, pick out the potatoes, and then I can rework this dirt. Add in some composted manure, peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, whatever this needs to be ready for next year's planting. There's a shiny new potato. Harvesting was easy, just dump and dig through the dirt. I decided to amend the soil now so I'd have less work in the spring. I used wood ash and bone meal mixed into the bags to encourage root development since potatoes are essentially roots. You know what this reminds me of? Easter egg hunting.
Yeah.
I wonder if like egg hunting was a pagan thing, fertility kind of. Because most of those weren't they?
Yeah.
See, this one I thought was way too rocky, but it was just way too rocky at one level. Yeah, there it is. Haha, it just had mud on it. My yield per bag was about the same this year, though I did find I had larger potatoes than last year. I have already set aside some seed potatoes for 2023, and I'm only going to order some russet potatoes for new stock, though I might buy a bag of organic potatoes from the store and see how they grow. Still have a lot more to harvest. We've got a couple 24 to 26 degree overnights coming in the next few days. I'm finishing up harvesting and having one last moment in the garden with my flowers. I still have some sunflowers blooming, as well as some of my zinnias. I even have a couple dahlias that are trying to keep going, and a couple petunia plants that I'm kind of tempted to dig up and bring in because I'm hopeless like that. I love keeping those for a couple years. I've had some geraniums for a couple years and I love them. So I may do the same with the petunias. But check out these potatoes. I got a very special lovey potato that I just love. And check out these massive Yukon Gold potatoes I got. I only got a couple of those. You know, I think there's another decent sized one here. So like 4 or 5 of them, because I've got some, I think that was it. Oh, there's another. So I've got a few really decent sized Yukon Gold. I think next year I'm going to try some russets. But I've got these also, and I still have to harvest these containers and this container, but this one is too heavy, so I'm waiting for Mike to come down and help me pick it up. And check out my little baby Iricorn. How hilarious is that? These are the last of my onions that I left to go to seed. I figure if I let them go to seed, maybe they'll self-seed and we'll get more. We'll see. Here's one of my monster purple potatoes. This bag down here ripped, so I think once these bags start kind of getting phased out by the UV damage to where I can't use them, I'm going to switch back to these bags probably. They're lightweight. I didn't like how floppy they were, but they're definitely holding up better than those fabric ones. And they hold moisture a lot better than the fabric ones. Oh, this one I can rustle up, maybe. Oh, shit. Oh. Yes. So these bags and the containers that have been more plastic or more tarp type material, I've gotten much bigger. The really big potatoes have come out of those bags that had the plastic. But I think these are the ones that I started earlier. So these had more growing time for sure. But my biggest potatoes have come out of these bags and these containers that are a harder plastic. This is definitely my preferred method of harvesting because I could just dump the pots into this nice little dump cart, pull out my potatoes, and then put this dirt right back into the pot so I can plant it for next year. And I'm good to go. This pot had sunflowers and potatoes, so I'm curious to see what comes out of it. So I notice I'm getting just as many potatoes out of this bed as I was the other ones, and this one had sunflowers on top. So I really don't think, I think you can kind of plant anything on top of these things. We ended up with a total of 34 pounds of potatoes this year, which we are very much enjoying. My onions are struggling to handle storage, so I'll have to make onion jam this weekend to save what's left. And as for the indoor potatoes, so 4 potatoes turned into more potatoes, and more potatoes died. Probably the second week of October, I want to say. They didn't survive in the room. I don't know if it got too cold in there, if the light wasn't right, but they just didn't work. So I'll try again next year after we make some changes. As for the ginger, it never sprouted. I had a bunch of bulbs that I couldn't get into the ground in time because winter came so fast this year. So I went ahead and used those pots to put all those bulbs in and then just stuck them back outside. If potatoes come up next year, great. If not, oh well. If the bulbs come up, awesome, score. I'm glad that I didn't kill them all because I spent a lot of money on them. And if they don't come up, lesson learned. Be prepared and ready to go to put them in the ground, not the other way around.